All right. Welcome to the Lifestyle Evolution Podcast. This one is a little bit different. I wish that it was sponsored by Tim Hortons, but it's not. I'm Joshua Laycock, and I am joined by my good friend, Professor Michael Aviado. Appreciate you coming here.
Good to see you again.
We just did a long session yesterday, 5 hours, good training.
I think so.
We're pretty gassed. Had a bit of a dinner that was a little bit too big, and now we're all just dragging ass today. But he was very, very gracious enough to agree to come and sit down with us, and we're just going to shoot the shit for a bit and see how this goes. All right. Well, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. I'm glad we're able to connect, and I think I credit you for kind of starting me out on my jiu-jitsu journey, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
So why don't, before we get going, for those of you who don't know who you are, why don't you tell us just a little bit about all your insane accomplishments and the impact that you're having on the jiu-jitsu community, particularly around in Canada and in Vaughan, but around the world now, right?
Okay. Well, basically, my name is Michael Aviado, and basically, I was born in Manila, 1972. Came over to New York City in 1983. Then immigrated to Toronto in 1989. Then from there, lived most of my life here in Canada.
You're being very modest. What now? What are we now? 7-time Masters World Champ? No.
Yeah, well, no, 6-time, but one world Nogi.
One world Nogi.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, in regards to that, basically, I started jiu-jitsu at a very late age, and it couldn't have come at me at a better time.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like, just like I guess a lot of people right now are feeling the existential pains of life.
Yep.
Right? People do things. People run away from their problems through drugs, alcohol, addiction, and I'll be honest. I was one of those people that affected me.
Yeah, I remember you shared with me your story. Hanging out at a bar actually after class one day, and it really stuck with me. And I was hoping maybe if you're comfortable sharing a little bit about that story, because I think, I've talked about how important jiu-jitsu is. And I think 3 people yesterday told me I would probably be dead if it weren't for jiu-jitsu. I hear that everywhere that I go. And that's why for me, I'm like, as a therapist and as a coach, I'm like, there's something magical about jiu-jitsu. There's a reason why almost every guy who's in men's work is doing jiu-jitsu, is training hard. It's such a core element of all these guys that are showing up. So I'm curious, I'd love to hear your origin story around how life and everything that it throws at you brought you to jiu-jitsu. And then just as a professor now and having introduced so many people to Jits, why do you think that is?
It's kind of corny.
We do corny here.
No, seriously. I think God puts certain things along the way for you to pick up on and use it for later on. For example, I never thought I would be a good teacher. I would never thought that I would be good at anything in life. Okay. However, situations in regards to my work life caused me to abandon it and just travel. I went to China, started teaching English there, happened to learn how to teach people. Then I came back into Canada. Did not like the fact that I had to work back at the job market. I did not like it.
Starting back over.
I didn't like it. I didn't like having to work there, but I found jiu-jitsu, and it gave me the opportunity, wisdom, and also, I guess, the guidance to make my own decisions and make a leap of faith in regards to starting a business of my own. And so I used that to catapult myself in regards to just helping out my clients and being just a better person. I took that every opportunity I happened to have in order to learn and to teach and to also grow within the sport of jiu-jitsu. And I gotta thank a lot of people that helped me along the way, such as my professor Marco Costa is like
Mhm.
one of my like esteemed professors. I know a lot of people might say, like it's either you love him or you hate him kind of personality, but he's the kind of guy that's super generous in regards to his time and his knowledge, and I couldn't have asked for a better mentor in regards
I'm
to that
learning that. Like,
because
yeah.
it's resilience that they provide for you. It's that discipline, that um, mental toughness. Sometimes you say you can't teach heart, but you could get close enough to it.
You can work through to it, right?
Yes, you could work through it, and the heart's a muscle,
Yeah.
right? And so I, anyways, what
So
was
it's
I?
okay. So no, it's
Yeah.
helpful. So there was a day where you didn't do jujitsu, and then there was a day you said, I'm going to try. Is this something like, was it always around you, martial arts around you, and you sort of always wanted to do it, but never really pulled the trigger? Or how did you
Well,
find jujitsu? Like, what made you take that jump?
the funny thing is that it was my sister's ex-boyfriend who first introduced it to me, and I didn't really like it. It's because like jujitsu, what the fuck is jujitsu? Anyways,
Someone who doesn't know what it
and
is.
at that time I was like, I think 13, 14 years old, and he was an 18-year-old kid and everything else. And they comes at me with this jujitsu thing. I gave him a spinning back kick on the head, and there it goes. And then just whenever he starts grappling me, I just said, get off me. That's gay.
Mhm.
And they would think about it. They would just get off, and they didn't really know. I guess they were starting off at that time. When I saw UFC the first time, I think it was in 1993. Um, yeah, with Hoist Gracie. I didn't like him. I thought he was the cheapest martial artist there, even though he was the smallest.
Yeah.
Yes. But I was like thinking, who is this guy walking in with this judo gi into this cage with these bunch of animals, right?
Yeah.
And okay, I was a fanatic of striking because
Mhm.
I was in Taekwondo before, right? Um, and I always thought that grapplers were cheap. All they want to do is just hug you, take you down. Little did I know that how effective that those techniques are.
Yeah, watching
Yeah.
that original UFC,
Mhm.
it wasn't the most exciting thing to watch.
It
Like,
was exciting for me.
but
The first kick in the head, oh, that was amazing.
no, I
Yeah.
meant the first time I watched jujitsu, like traditional jujitsu in the
Mm.
UFC. Like, I watch it now, and I think that's cool. But I remember when I watched it, we used to get the tapes, right? We'd go to
Yes.
Blockbuster and get the tapes and bring it in, and I was bored. I was like, come
Mm.
on, smash each other's
Exactly.
faces.
Exactly.
But
Okay.
and I could see like it was Shamrock how frustrated these guys were,
Mhm.
and but now I look back on it and I just see that's like so graceful and so beautiful. But
Yes.
so it was your sister's ex boyfriend who said get into
Yeah.
this, and
Anyways, what's this? I kicked him. That was the first time I've ever like experienced it or saw it. And then just before I went to China, another friend of mine introduced it to me. It was a blue belt at that time. Anyways, it was just a bunch of us just like grappling and
mhm,
things, and then he showed me how what an armbar is. Like, wow. And then I think it was around 2007, 2008 when I finally walked into this small taekwondo school that I keep passing by that actually offered Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so got in there, met up with Marco, and it was a small setup in which the mats we physically have to lift up and put them on the floor before and after
yeah,
class. So yeah, from there on, at that time it was the rough time. I think still it started to taper down in regards to the type of people that actually does jujitsu. Because when people come in, it's like mm, they want to mangle you, no matter
yeah,
how big or small you are. They want to mangle you because I guess like nothing's working for them with other people. They want to really see if this is going to work on somebody that's untrained. So
Yeah.
So yeah, I was part of the crazy four, I guess. And there's the guy who's about 250 pounds, then another guy who's like 200 pounds, another guy is 180, and there's me.
And now, so people who don't know, your Instagram handle is Mouse BJJ. Like,
Yes.
big presence, but physically you're not a big guy. What's the stats, just so that we can just put that in context when you're up against the guys 250?
5'2". At that time, I was like 170 pounds. So
170?
Yeah, that's kind of fat.
So yeah, you were a
Okay,
big guy. Yeah.
no, I'm round. But that's fine. And I think I was smoking and drinking a lot at that time as well. So
That's a lot of weight on a 5'2" frame.
yes, it wasn't pretty. But I guess the beauty of it, I guess I'm looking at it, is that the big guys got to squish all that juice out of me. I'm like, I'm happy.
Yeah, man. And it's funny, you said something like guys come into the gym and they've got something to prove, right?
Yes.
And that's one of the cool things about jiu-jitsu is, and I've spoken about this quite a bit, is like so many guys have so much stuff repressed, right? We're shoving stuff down. Society's telling them you can't be a certain way. They're frustrated at life. There's no outlet. It's amazing for jiu-jitsu to be like, to see guys and women as well come in and for the first time be invited to really share that part of them. But you're right, it can come out in funky ways. I mean, we've all seen the spazzy white belts who come through who are just out of their mind.
Yes.
I'm sure I went through that phase. I think we all do. But you're right, it brings something out in us, though, right? Like there's something very primal, I think.
Well, I do believe that we didn't get to play enough. We are a generation, we're raising a generation of kids that didn't play enough. The environment around us right now desensitizes each other from ourselves, you know what I mean?
Disconnects it. Yeah, we're
Yes,
disconnected from our true nature, for sure.
and since we are such social animals and social beings, we want to be in contact with each other. Now, look at the physiology of it already. I mean, I'm no scientist, but I do listen to podcasts, and also I read. Okay, when I do have time to read. Yeah, they said that, by hugging and what's this, and taking down, even wrestling, okay, your body naturally produces the hormones that makes you feel good. There's such a love bond, such as the oxytocin, right? And whatever that is, it's actually good for you. It's a good thing for you to be able to keep moving, and it's good for you to get in contact with people.
Yes.
And it helps you act better in normal day society because of the fact that you have let go of your angst.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to be primal. You need to have an outlet. Yeah.
You need an outlet, a healthy outlet, something that would challenge you and yet that you would embrace. And for something like that, after good hard training, I don't care if I'm driving and somebody cuts me off. I'm not gonna, well, I'd be concerned. I'd be like, please,
Yeah,
drive safely.
But all of a sudden it puts life
exactly
in such crazy perspective. And I think you're right. Unless you've had maybe brothers growing up, or maybe just a super engaged dad, like you don't have a lot of opportunity to roughhouse and play and be in contact. Like, so I have siblings, but I never lived with them. So when I always say like I'm an only child with siblings, that's what I mean, brothers and sister. I'm not ragging on you, but I grew up essentially an only child. So I didn't have that outlet. I didn't have the just the brothers or whatever to kind of beat on you and have that outlet. And I didn't realize how much I needed that. Do you remember the first class that I came in? I've spoken about this, and I don't know if you do this with everybody or whatever, but it was a life changer for me, right?
And what did I yell you about?
So first of all, I made the mistake of coming in there with a bit of swagger, and I had a CrossFit t-shirt on, right?
Oh, shoot.
And you just kept calling me, okay, CrossFit, shut up, CrossFit. But I
get the bad guy off you.
Yeah, but so for me, like, I knew I wasn't a fighter. Like, I I didn't have that kind of like, I can mess anybody up kind of attitude.
Yeah.
That wasn't the kind of energy I was bringing in, but I'm a pretty strong guy. I was in reasonably good shape. I had a level of confidence that I thought, you know, worst comes to worst. I think this is the mistake a lot of people make, right? Is like, worst comes to worst. If I have to step up, I'll step up, right? And yeah, you did the get the bad guy off you. So I think you clued into the fact that this was something like, I was here for my family. I was here to be a good man. And you did this, like, just hold me down, right? And you were like, okay, there's bad guys going through the house. They're looking for your family. And I was charged at this point, right? We can laugh about it now, but I was like, and you're like, just get up. And like, I could bench press you, right? I was like, I just get them up. And I couldn't move you at all. And then you flipped, right? You're like, just pull me down. Just lean on me.
Yes.
Pull me down. And I was panicking because I couldn't get you up. I couldn't get you off of me. And you were being, you know, appropriately, you were pushing me appropriately, right? But it was like, imagine they're trying to find your family. Imagine, like, if I get up, I'm going to kill them. Get up. You know, step up, step up.
These are role-playing games that I play with the students, just to give them a frame of thought, because everything that we teach in Jiu-Jitsu, it's all theory. It's all theory. They're all bullshit. They don't work. They don't work if you don't believe it and don't put in the time to actually make it work. They don't work.
Okay.
Okay. Fair enough.
So, well, tell me a little bit. What do you mean by that? They don't work. Like, you mean, is this what the perception that people have of jiu-jitsu, or you're saying like in real life?
No.
What do you mean by this?
Everything in here still requires effort for you to do.
Sure. Oh yeah. So the theory on its own is irrelevant, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you might have all these moves, all these tactics, all these things in your head that what you should have, could have, would have done, but can you apply it when it's time? You know, when it actually matters, when, you know, when the shit really hits the fan. Are you able to use your jiu-jitsu to save your ass?
Yeah.
And so you test it like that. You give him those little simulations, like get the bad guy off you, or get the monkey off your back, or or get out of the spider web, get out of the backpack attack. Those are things those are drills that are good for survival. It tests your heart. It's actually lower risk in regards to injury, because it's specific. Right.
But I'll tell you, that moment changed me, though.
Okay.
Like, and I've said this before, and I don't have any problem saying it. Like, I went back into my car that night, like sitting in the car, and I had like tears in my eyes because I was like,
so sorry.
No, it's a good thing, because it was for the first time with love. I was able to call myself on my own bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had this like image of myself, but it wasn't grounded and it wasn't earned. It was just like, cool, I do CrossFit. I have some muscles. I've watched lots of UFC. I should know what I'm doing. Like, I was a bouncer. I could throw drunk guys around, but I needed that because I was in a, like, and I hate the term, but I was in a very safe place, right? Like, I didn't walk out there being like, Aviado's a dick. I didn't think that. It was like, damn.
There's a lot of people that
they probably do, probably do. But do you know what I mean? Like, so I think there's a video out there. I probably just did a video that night because I was just like, holy shit. Like, this is a different paradigm. There was something in me that changed. And it was something in me that was like invited to come out and to roll and to actually start to experience, like, and again, these are words I don't like, but like, you are very vulnerable when you start. Like, for those of you who don't know jiu-jitsu, I mean, I'm sure if you're watching this, you do, but like, it's a grappling art where our job is to choke and break limbs. Like, strangle. Yeah. Your life is theoretically in someone else's hands, right? Like, if we roll and when you inevitably get me into something nasty, if I tap, if you choose not to tap, it's game over for me.
Well, the idea is to eliminate your limbs first. Or
Okay, so you're
yes.
gonna break me down so that I can't tap.
No, think
Yeah.
about it. You're in the middle of a fight and just break a finger. See how it feels. It really, really sucks. It just breaking a finger in the middle of a fight. You're
Yeah.
thinking to yourself, maybe I'll deal with you later. I gotta go to the hospital, fix it first.
Yeah.
And so that's where the real fear sets in when something small starts breaking. And then imagine the wrist in a fight. Imagine an elbow in a fight. Imagine the shoulder. How much faster would your soul leave your body because of these like
Yeah.
incremental injuries?
Yeah.
Mm.
But it gave me an opportunity to put myself out there,
I understand.
knowing like, because I could just go out and start a fight in the street, but there's too many variables, right? You can get killed easily enough.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do that, right? They're frustrated, they're burying stuff. So they go to the bar and they fight, or they beat on their wives or whatever, like they take it out.
Yeah.
But it's not a safe space. It's not an appropriate way to explore that part of you. So for me, that was the first time where I was like, I know these guys have my back. Like it was like instant brotherhood.
I got you.
Right? But so this kind of leads into something I was going to talk to you a little bit, and we touched on it at dinner last night. It's like a lot of people, I think first of all, I think everyone, if you're physically capable, and even if you're on the edge, you should be trying jujitsu. I just think there's something about it. Everyone should try it. You will learn so much about yourself, even if you have no aspirations of competing or being a black belt. Like I think everyone should try it, should experience it. There's the contact piece that we talked about.
Yes.
But what's really interesting, and I always recommend my coaching clients, particularly people with lower self-esteem. Maybe they've been bullied, right? Maybe they're just anti-confrontation. They're scared of life.
Yes.
I recommend jujitsu, but it's tricky because I don't know if you see this with people, but I find like, while now having done jujitsu for as long as I have, and I've not been doing it for a long time, but it now builds up my confidence, but it can also rattle you pretty good. Like at the beginning, it's almost like your confidence can actually peter a little bit, because if you're like me, it's breaking down some of those images that you had of yourself, of the things that you thought you could do, or the person that you thought you were, but was really untested. It was unearned.
Yes.
It breaks that down really quickly.
Okay.
You following me there?
No, I got you.
So I think like for some people, in the short run, it can actually hurt your self-confidence a little bit.
Big time.
Big time.
Big
but
time.
Even yesterday when we were
narcissistic people.
Oh, is that me? It might be.
No, well, you think about it. You amplify your problems more when you think about it yourself, about it as much as you can, right? So, anything that happens to them, they're gonna amplify it.
Yeah.
And they're gonna think, oh, the whole world is against me. That's why I got armbarred.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not the case.
No, and even as recently as yesterday, right? We learned a new open guard tech. For me, it was a new. I had never really worked with the De La Hiva open guard, and people were going through it like butter with me, and I was like, "Why am I doing this? What is the point of this? My jujitsu sucks. This is a big mistake. How dare I?" And then you just have to have that little chat with yourself, right? Be like, "Okay, come on." And I think it was Josh was saying like, maybe someone's cut through you 50 times in a row. That's okay. You're still, and I needed that little grounding, but it does have these really incredible highs.
Oh, you're chasing the dragon.
But then
you're chasing the dragon.
Say more about this. Chasing the dragon. What is this for you?
In Jiu-Jitsu, you're chasing the dragon. It's like that hit. Okay, that hit. When you get the perfect sweep. When you get that timing for that submission. When you get that, I got you at this moment.
Yep.
That is the dragon. That's why people fall in love with it. Yeah. Because it's so hard to get to that position, especially with certain people.
But when you feel it,
you feel it all the time. You're feeling like, oh my God, this guy is killing me. This guy is crushing me. There's nothing that I can do. It really sucks. And that's the down part. And that's the thing. We're willing to tolerate that to get that high.
Yeah, it reminds me of golf. I don't golf anymore, but
Yes.
someone's
Yes.
like, you can shoot 17 balls into the forest, and then all of a sudden you hit one straight down.
And you're like, whoa.
And I don't know about you, like I've played 17 holes of like, I am never gonna play golf again in my life. And then some reason the golf gods come down on the 18th, and you have this and you're like, I can't wait to play again.
I got you.
Right?
I got you.
But it's also, you know, it's funny now. One of the things that I think annoys the hell out of people is jiu-jitsu people always pull these, especially like the philosophical type. There's some that are just here to like murder yoga, right? But the philosophical type, they always draw these parallels between jiu-jitsu and life.
Yes.
Right. And I remember, like, bear with me on this story, but I remember a buddy of mine, we're talking about our kids at work, and they're young and they were difficult, right? And we were just sort of not complaining, but we were just sort of lamenting about how difficult this has been. Oh, my kid was up 7 times last night. Oh, my kid puked all over my bed last night. And like, you know, what it's like when you have young kids. And this young guy came up to us and he said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be listening in, but I'm going to be a dad in a couple of weeks. Is there anything good about being a father? And I had to say, like, oh, dude, like, yes. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, we need to talk. It's going to be brutal and it's going to challenge you. And it's still, you know, I did a podcast last week about death, and it was one of my most pivotal moments of being a father. But you can have 75 shitty interactions in a row, and then one little moment, right, of the snuggle, or they hold your hand, or they whatever, and it doesn't matter. It brings you right back in. And that's, so in many ways, that's like jiu-jitsu is like, how much shit can you tolerate to chase the dragon? I love this analogy, right? Because
it affects a lot of people that have PTSD, ADHD, people that have addictive personality.
On the autism spectrum?
Autistic people, it helps them focus. Why? Yeah. Because there's a central element to it, right? It's very, very primal. You have to maim the person. That's the name of the game. Yeah. Maim the person, or make them say uncle.
Yeah. But it's so good for life, because that's life though, right? Like life is going to throw you curveball after curveball after curveball. And like, we're chasing the dragon in life too though, right? Like, because if all you do is inventory the hard times, life's going to crush you, because it's tough, especially right now. You know, like things are getting expensive, things are challenging. We're coming through pandemic, and like life's been hard. If you can't relish and savor those little wins, those little moments of like, damn, I got this, you know, whether it's time with your family or with your spouse or with your buddies or whatever, or even just, I don't know about you, but like, you know what I love is the drive home after a good session. Like, I'm invincible. There's all these memes out there, right, of like guys driving home after gym, but it's so true. You put the right kind of music on, you got the window down, you're just
sometimes you don't even put the music.
No, you just sit with it.
Driving, thinking about like, how the hell did I get choked or put out or submitted by this person? Yeah.
And enjoying it and realizing that this is...
You actually like admire it and you're in awe. And
like we're in very different parts, right? Black belt, white belt. We're still very... No, but so maybe the amount of time someone catches you is a little different than the amount of... But
all of you guys combined. You guys combined, I've tapped them more than you, all of you guys combined.
No, I believe you. Yeah. But so one of the things that I always say, as soon as I'm done a roll, because I prefer to roll with the higher belts. Yeah. Just mostly because I'm getting old and I don't need a white belt to roll on my knee and my day. But I'm like, what did you see? The minute they catch me with something, it's like, what did you see? I'm analyzing it, because it also forces you to like, okay, I made a mistake. I can either like throw a hissy fit and go in the back and get all harumphy, which, hey, I've been there. Yeah. But shifting that mindset to now, like, what did you see? Because, you know, you roll with the higher belt, they were just waiting for that one thing. And it's like, oh, the arm is isolated. Yes. And that's what I want to, like, I always double back at the end of my rolls. And it's like, what did you see? Please tell me. What was I doing? What was I, like, was I, you know, my balance off? Was I overcompensating? Was I sticking my arm out? What was it? I adore that kind of feedback. Because you know, I try to not make the same mistake twice. I mean, jiu-jitsu, you're going to.
You're going to a couple of times, or either
Yeah.
that, or you're gonna make new mistakes.
So
And the idea sometimes is make the choices that you make right. Make the choices that you make right. Because there are many ways of passing. There's many ways of keeping the person in your guard. There's many ways of submitting the person. A lot of people, very, very smart people, very, very OCD people, they can't make a choice. They can't make a choice, and they're waiting for the other person to make the choice for them, and then they would rather react. It's good. It's good in regards to gym rolling. Competition's different. You're there to hunt, right? So you either lay baits or you go first, and that's why you'll always hear in competition, because of the time it's limited, to be first in regards to scoring. Why? When you score, the onus is on the person to chase back. So if you could relate that in life, you don't know what the outcome will be tomorrow. Make a decision anyways, and make that decision right, because the decisions that you make, you have to have the follow through for every decision to make sure that the decision that you made is right.
So make the decision, take action, and actually roll with it.
Yes.
And then measure the consequences and adjust from there.
That sounds good.
It's the OODA loop. You've heard of the OODA loop?
No, I don't.
So the OODA loop is this, like, it came out of, I think it was out of a manual for like Vietnam era fighter pilots.
Okay.
Right. So the OODA loop is to observe, orient, decide, act, and then you start over again. What do I see? How do I need to move my body?
Yes.
Make a decision, go for it, and then re-observe what do they do. And that the OODA loop, I mean, the OODA loop is jiu-jitsu, right?
That's
a Jocko Willing thing. He talks about that all the time.
Sounds good. Sounds exactly it.
Yeah, it's just, but again, so like, I think you're right. Like, you make a decision, but then what do you do with it? Or you make a decision and then you take action, but then you just like, oh, I did it, and you walk away. It's like, well,
no, you have to follow through.
You have to follow through. You have to observe, and then reorient yourself for the next round.
Exactly.
I love what you said, hunting, because we talked last night a little bit, because I said one, I think, and I still kind of believe this, but maybe I need to like flush it out a little bit, is like, I think why, and I say this like half-heartedly, like, I know my jiu-jitsu is okay, but it's not super strong right now. I feel like because I'm too passive, like just what you were saying, like I'm too reactive. And so I said to you, like, I need to be more aggressive. And it's funny because all you guys are like, no, not aggressive. And I think maybe misunderstood what I was trying to say, but maybe what I was trying to say is like, I need to become the hunter.
Assertive.
More assertive.
Yes, I guess so. In regards, if you are in the bottom, you need grips, no matter what. So what are you doing? You're hunting for grips. Once you get the grips, now you need 2 to 3 points of connection. No, 3 to 4 points.
3 to 4.
And then based upon that, start off balancing. Check their base.
So how do you cultivate this? Because there's sort of like the tactical part of being a hunter, but then there's just like the mental part of someone who just sees life. Maybe that's the thing. It's like, it's either someone who sees life as it happening to them, or the hunter is the one who's out doing things to life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. How do you cultivate that?
It's weird. I think some people are just favored by God.
So just part of who they are, part of their
they
DNA.
are. Exactly. It's just that the cards are just lined up right for them. And then the people that are more of them, a lot more of them, are the ones who make the decision and stick to the decision to make it right.
And is that, would you say, like, some of these like comp hunters, right? Who, like, we were talking about this yesterday. There's some young kids right now who have this fire in their eyes,
and they make decisions and they stick to it, right? Like the discipline of them, like coming in to train, to coming in to rep out like a spinning arm bar like 1,000 times. You know, the people that are the first ones on the mats, the last one to leave.
Yeah.
The ones that actually give back to the community, give back to the teammates in regards to training, whatever it is. Those are the monsters.
Yeah, we have a few yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
well, all of us were kind of gassing up and refueling. They were like, "Let's roll in between. Let's keep going." And so maybe that's the difference between like the comp and the hobbyist. And like, I'm in the hobbyist bucket.
Yes.
Maybe it's sort of like the intensity of that hunter spirit.
Yeah.
But it's important though. Like, if you're listening and you're like, "Well, I'm not a hunter yet," come in anyway. Because and that's the thing. Like, it can be a little. It can turn some people off, right? Because if they see the comps and they're like, I don't really want to do that. There's so much more. Like, to me, I hate the analogy, but like the comp folks are like the top of the iceberg, right? And then there's all the hobbyists. Would you agree?
No.
No?
I think the general person that's a middle-aged dad who comes in and puts in his hour and a half every other day. Yeah, that's gonna be solid within 2 years. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, I think the comp
That-
people are
that-
fairly rare. Most of the people are the average Joe coming in off the
You
street.
don't want a gym that's basically all comp. Okay, it's not nice.
It's too intense.
It's not nice. Like egos will get in the way. Seriously. Okay, there's gonna be splits. There's gonna be drama, all kinds of things like that. Usually in the school, out of 100, you know the story of the 100 warriors. They say 10 shouldn't have been
10 shouldn't be there.
70 should have are just cannon fodder. Then another 10 of them are like the real warriors, and then one is the one that would save them all, right? Basically, that's about.
We're cannon fodder, folks. The hobbyist, we are cannon fodder. We keep the lights on at these gyms.
We say that, but you know, the good part about that is you progress. You progress. It's not who's good, who's left. And I've known hobbyists that outlast competitors in Jiu-Jitsu because of just the consistency. The training method that I recommend for people in regards to that, especially if you are middle-aged like me, okay, is that you balance out your schedule in regards to when you fight. Okay, and you let your body recover. That's one. Another thing that you also do is that I think there's the 30-30 rule. 30-30-30 rule. Okay. I think basically most of your training is gonna suck. Like 33%.
Yeah.
And then the other 33% should be like okay. You know, everything's okay, you're getting your subbing other people. And then the other one is gonna be like you're killing everybody. It's a cycle.
I'm at like 85, 50, you know, but I'm getting there.
But the idea is in the future is to make sure that everything is balanced to 33, 33, 33, right? Not, it's because it'll help you in regards to longevity in training. You know that there's a rest period. You know there's a hard period to push you. There's a period in which you can't even get through because of the fact that, you know, these are certain things that you need to work on.
Yeah.
And so
but I think this is that's a helpful balance, because I will admit, when I'm not feeling on my game, I'm not rolling as tight as I would like, and I'm struggling. And it's a bad thing to say, but like, I instinctively know there's people in the gym I can beat. And I find myself, like, I'll be honest, like, I find myself being like, okay, I got to go roll with so-and-so. If anyone is watching, that's not what I'm doing. But you do though, right? Because then you're like, I need to kind of big myself up a little bit. I need some subs. I need some, but I don't feel good about it afterwards. Because I'm like, I'm trying to feed my own ego to remind myself that I don't suck.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go hunt someone who's new, not maliciously, right? But like,
Yeah.
and I can flow roll and I can kind of work my technique, and I appreciate that. But there is this pull though when you're struggling. So like it's like when you're playing video games and you're having a bad day, just putting it back down to easy,
Okay.
but that's not where we get better.
Hell no.
So that's when it's like,
In a
go
way
find the
you
purple
do,
belt.
because like, okay, one of my guilty pleasures is choking out blue belts. Okay.
The fresh
Why?
blue ones or
Blue,
any of them.
any blue. It's because they're good enough to have the defense and movements and all those the fundamentals. However, you want to catch them by using timing and technique and traps, and it's a different type of game, right? And that's where I put my theories in practice, the things that you learned. That's where you get to use fancy attacks, flying arm bars, loop chokes, any kind of like unique technique, as you can say.
Beyond the basics, yeah.
Beyond the basics. And that's where I get better.
But you're not plowing through them like a hot knife through butter. You're now practicing. You're trying very specific things, and that's something that I've tried to do. If I'm rolling with someone who's newer than me, is like hunting, but with a very specific purpose. Like, and then working on flow rolling, because again, for those of you who don't know, like the spazzy white belts, we have usually on and off, right? It's go or stop. But you got to titrate that in there. You got to slow it up. You got to know how to slow it down. You got to bring it through. And then obviously there's just being a good training partner.
Yes.
And I don't want anyone to ever leave jiu-jitsu because I was having a bad day and decided to take it on them. So 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So you're saying maybe like a third of like struggling pressure. This guy's going to crush me, but I'm going to get in here anyway and see what I can learn. So a third of like, okay, that was tough. So a third of a rest round of like, okay, or a little less condescending maybe, but an opportunity where I can dial it back and just kind of tweak or hone some of my things, and I'm not really worried about getting caught too much. And then a third of what sort of like equal matched the outcome is could go either way.
Yes.
You're gonna put it to the test.
Well, go catch the person as much as you can, right? And yeah, you gotta sharpen the sword by sometimes being a dick, being selfish about it, okay? And there's certain people that you could do that, or based upon, your relationship with them. I mean, you're not gonna pick a guy that you hate in the gym or something like that. You wanna pick a guy that's gonna give you a challenge in your workout. So, but you can't do that too much because of the breakdown of your body, especially at our age. If you're young, no excuse. You go out there.
Young guys pound it away, but
exactly.
As you get older like us, it's like let's slow it down.
And you gotta be smart because of the fact that we provide for our families, and as this is for the better part a hobby. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right. So
live to fight another day.
You can.
Yeah.
All the time. All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can wrap it up soon, and I think you and I can just chat a fair bit, and we could probably sit here for hours, but that's not going to benefit anybody. Maybe ending on as a professor, as someone who runs a club, and you've seen all the way from kids up to the old boys showing up and girls. What would you say are some of the biggest mistakes that maybe the hobbyist who's been doing it for like 3 to 6 months, but is maybe like they came in thinking they just get their stripes like butter and they'd roll through it. Maybe they're struggling a little bit. Where do people go wrong? Like is there a point at which you can tell, like there's a line beyond which, like most people, if they make it over that line, they're okay? What leads people to leave the gym? Like, is there a mistake that they make that you see, or I guess less negatively, what can the hobbyists do? You've touched on a little bit to maximize just being in the game for as long as they can. What mistakes get made that we should be avoiding?
Number one thing I need to make sure that the hobbyists try to instill in their life is discipline, because everything else, just show up. Just show up. If you could do your best to allocate that 3 hours within that week for you to be able to show up, you'll get better. The hard part is that commitment just to show up just 3 times a week. Surprisingly, a lot of people have a hard time with that, and that's what hobbyists do.
Yeah, no, so we've got guys
Yeah.
showing up for the class, so we are going to wrap it up. That's the world telling us to wrap it up. So sorry, recap there what you were saying. We got a little distracted. We had some guys showing up. So showing up consistently, like just consistent,
just the diligence.
not expecting too much of yourself.
There are so many people that I've met that couldn't do a shrimp, couldn't do a bridge, couldn't get the bad guy off them, or couldn't fight out of a brown paper bag in the beginning. And just because they're not the best, but they kept showing up, that they even outlasted the ones that I thought were going to be champions.
So just keep showing up. Take care of your body.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll leave it with,
don't be also a mindless idiot when you do show up. I mean, put in the work. There's people who just show up and think that they are going to get promoted. The last thing that you want to be is a purple belt by attendance.
Well, what I love, and it's an Andy Frisella-ism, I think, where he talks about aggressive patience, right? So like in the macro, if we're talking stripes and belts and whatever, be patient.
Be patient.
Be very patient. But in the micro,
work on it.
In the micro, you need to be impatient. You need to learn.
Yes.
And you don't have to spend $12,000 on BJJ Fanatics instructionals. Just do the basics. Constantly work your body, stretch, lift weights, take care of yourself. But so like macro patience, micro aggressiveness, and you'll survive.
I think so. But
well, it's meant a lot to me having you come and sit here. This guy, I don't often, and I've said this to you before, and I know you hate it when I say it, but it's true. There aren't very many people out there that when someone's watching me, I get nervous, that I really want to like make someone proud, I guess, to say.
Listen, I am very proud of you.
No, I know, and I'm not hunting for compliments, but it's like I'm good. But the moment you start watching, I'm like, oh shit, he's watching. I gotta step it up. So, but I love that, and I think that just means that you hold a special place in my heart.
Well, I really appreciate you giving me time to speak to you about this. I know I'm not in the best mind right now because of the fact that I didn't get a good enough sleep. But thank you very much.
Well, we'll do it again, my brother.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks, buddy.